Hello, everyone. This is Divya here, your host, and today we have with us uh, Monica, and she is the author of uh, the book Pronounced Guilty, which we are going to talk about today. Uh, Welcome to Between the Pages with Divya, brought to you by Audio Pitara. So, let's talk about Monica a bit. Monica Singh is a voracious book dragon. Yes, she is. We all know her in our writing community. A scientist turned storyteller, and she exchanged Bunsen burners and beakers for the allure of the written word. Her work explores the messy realities of life. She's a firm believer in the magic of stories to pull you through anything and hopes her words offer comfort and escape to her readers. Yes, indeed. She is also a very good reader in terms of detailed reading. She has been my book editor as well. And talking about her book, Pronounced Guilty, that's her first full length novel that delves into the underbelly of the Indian criminal justice system, exploring themes of criminality, justice, and redemption. So, welcome, Monica, to Between the Pages with Divya.
Thank
Um,
you, Divya. It is an honor. Yes, it is an honor. And it is an honor to, finally be on call with you about my book after editing your book. It is really, really very such a pleasure to talk to you. And this is my book, Pronounced Guilty. I don't know whether people can see it. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yes, it's seen, and I know with the book launch and stuff, it is gaining popularity as well with a lot of readers. Great, great. So let's start the session today with some fun talk here with our author, uh, our reader, our editor. I mean, she's so talented. I'm loss of words for her. Right. So let me start with the very core of the book itself, or you itself in that sense. So I would like to know, or people would like to know, that what inspired you to write this book, Pronounced Guilty, and uh, how did the idea come to your mind about open prison rehabilitation project?
All right. So I think I really love talking about the inspiration behind the book because it was such I don't know, something to do with this book. Everything is happening on serendipity. So the idea also was something along those lines. I was watching a TV show called House. It's an American TV show and it has a hospital setting. And there's this episode where a 8 or 10-year-old boy is brought into the hospital and he's going to die unless he receives a blood transfusion of his blood group. And simultaneously, a prisoner is brought into the hospital. He's on death row, like he's going to be executed in a week or 2 weeks for the crimes that he has committed. And he's also sick and he's brought into the hospital. And this prisoner wants to donate his blood to this child. But there's a very powerful scene where this child is just throwing a tantrum. He's fighting his parents and the doctors that I will not take this man's blood because he's a criminal, and if I take his blood, I will also become a criminal. So that scene, it just kind of stuck with me because it was so powerful, right? Like just the thought of taking the blood of that person was so overwhelming to this child that he was like, I would rather die than take his blood. So that was where I started thinking about what is the condition of our prisoners. That is an American system. So what are we doing? Are we allowed to donate blood? Like, are we allowed to accept blood from convicted criminals? So I went on to research about India and Indian prisons, and that's how the book started. That's how the book started. That was the seed idea. About open prisons, I would say it was actually more personal. My father was in the Indian Navy, and he retired in 2019, I think he retired. So I have always wondered after he retired, it was very difficult for him to settle to civilian life, as we call it in the forces. It was very difficult for him to settle into it, and everything was new. So, I always wondered whether our government provided any kind of psychological help or, transitioning help to these people who have served their entire lives to the country. But unfortunately, there is no such help given to our retired personnel, our veterans. Yes, they are given training to, to go and work in a civilian atmosphere. They're given pensions, but there is no psychological help provided to them to transition from Navy or armed forces to civilian life. So that took a toll, and it took a toll not only on him but us also for this transition to happen from armed forces to civilian life. So I was just thinking about that, and I asked my father about all the psychological impact of having served so many years, and it is very, 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 very traumatizing. तो दैट काइंड ऑफ ड्रू मी इनटू इट कि अगर हमारे वेटरन्स की ये हालत है, they are facing so many difficulties without having ever committed a crime. What would happen to a prisoner who has been inside the prison for 10 years, say 12 years or 7 years or whatever, and they come out and they don't know what to do? The world has moved on. They don't know what to do. So, are we providing any kind of help to them to transition from beyond bars to outside bars? That's how the idea for an open prison came to me, and I researched about it, and I realized that India does have open prison settlements, and we have a lot of them in India, and it has recently started. That's how it just kind of snowballed into a.
That's great to hear, and obviously, I know for sure that there would have been a lot of research from your end gone into the book to have you know sh come into shape as something which is you know out of the box, right? So we all know that the central theme is all about redemption here, and according to you, though you said right now that there is no system in place even for a civilian to or maybe a veteran to psychologically adjust to the civilian life, but how do you think that Indian society perceives redemption for those who are behind bars?
I won't actually dare to, presume anything on behalf of the society. I would say my experience with the criminals that we will say that have been behind bars, whether for a few months to a few years or a number of years, my experience has been that I am very, 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 very reluctant to consider the concept of redemption for these people. Very, very reluctant. Before I started writing this book and reading about all of the themes that are included in this book, before I started doing that, I was uh, I was of the opinion that they should remain behind bars. We should not be in contact with them, and they deserve punishment for whatever they did, and that's where they should remain. They should be away from us, and that's how we can reduce the risk to the common people. But this book helped me kind of change my mind about this thing because every single day, hundreds and thousands of these people who are behind bars are getting released and then joining our society. They're doing that. And we don't know whether they have been reformed. They have been punished, yes. But have they been reformed? Have they been given a chance to become better versions of themselves? They deserve the punishment. They served out the punishment, but are they better human beings? We don't know. So they're going to come out. They're going to commit the same kind of crimes again, and
Mhm.
the cycle is going to repeat itself. So this
True.
book helped me understand why redemption is important and why it is important to break the cycle of crime and punishment, because we cannot stop crime. Crime is going to stay. We cannot stop crime. That is a very, very lofty ideal we have placed on ourselves. We cannot stop crime, but we can stop this cycle of crime and punishment and crime and punishment.
True, true. So as you also said that the inspiration you got was from a series which you were watching. So I also am a die-hard fan of watching, criminal, those lawyer type of series. So I wanted to ask you about uh, the system which the other countries follow. Like, for example, if we talk about the American law, there they have a jury, and also they have a kind of punishment like manslaughter, or type 1 murder, type 2 murder. And of course they do provide, if it is not a very heinous crime, they do give some 100 or maybe 200 hours of community service which that person has to do, right, and not go
Right.
to the jail, of course. So do you think anything like that can reform India? Because in India also, I believe when the British were ruling us, we were following a jury system wherein we had a jury, and the jury will decide about the guiltiness of a person, right, or a criminal. So though we that's been abolished and now it has changed, do you think that will make a difference in any way?
I don't know about the jury system because India is a vast country. You know, we have a huge population, and law and order is an issue over here. The kind of population that America has, I think, I would say organizationally, it makes sense for them to have the jury system, but for India to implement that kind of a thing would be a challenge. But yes, what I feel will definitely help is, like you said, right? For petty criminals or for non-heinous crimes, rather than sentencing the criminal to a particular number of years, you give them community service, you give them a chance to become better, or to learn a new thing so that they can go out in the community and do better things. I think that is something that will definitely help, because I remember having this discussion with a uh, ex DGP, I think Amol Kant sir, in the Pune Literary Festival, and he said that 70% of the people inside the prisons right now are under trial prisoners. Their crime has not been proven, and they have spent anywhere between 3 to 7 years inside jail without having been convicted. So imagine, right? Like, you already served 7 years without having been convicted, and then you will be convicted, you will serve your sentence. So if there are people who've done like petty theft, all of these small crimes, I think that that process should be really, really fast, and they should be given kind of a minimal punishment and community service and all of those things that will help them or enable them to work better or to earn better. I think money is the problem here, because these people don't really have a source of income. So if you enable them
Correct.
to get that source of income in some way, then I think that would really help. Like, imagine 70% without trial.
Yeah,
What are they doing inside?
it's a huge number, and obviously they are as you said, India is a vast country, and I believe even in America, why they do that is because they do not have space for people to, actually they cannot accommodate those many criminals inside the jails. So that is how
Right.
they it is. And I think community service for petty crimes, I think it will surely bring about a change, because it might bring about a change in a person as well if they do a community service. I don't know whether monetarily they should be rewarded, of course, because at least for their living they should be able to manage that. But yes, I think that will of course make a difference, as you rightly said. Moving on to the characters of the uh, book, um, which you displayed very well. And I was seeing those Facebook posts coming in with the you know or the photo of the person, right? And there was some contest like kind of a thing, guess who is who and stuff
Yes.
like that, right?
Yes.
So I mean, it was so relatable that this person might be this person, and you just added faces to the character. So yes, so talking about Kushan Dave, Vijendra Singh, and Dr. Anasuya Savarkar, these are very complex characters, and which you have weaved into the book. Um, which character, according to you, was the most challenging and why?
Oh, okay. This is a difficult question. I think as a writer, I should be saying that, all of my characters are equally important to me. And all of the characters are equally important to the narrative as well. Uh, yes, but challenging, if I have to say, I think Dushyant would be the one who was the most challenging to write because in case of Vijender, Vijender is an ex-convict. So his goals and his purpose is very, very clear. He wants to live a life. He wants a second chance. He wants to earn money and he wants a stable life. His objectives were very, very clear. Same with Anusuya. Anusuya, I think, even though her objectives were not very clear, she was very torn between, this idea of redemption and punishing the criminals for what they have done. So she is very torn. So even she was a little easier to write, but Dushyant was very, very difficult because his character, I think, goes through a huge transformation from the beginning to the end. And while he's fighting to give redemption to the criminals, he's fighting an internal battle as well. And the twist that happens in the second part of the novel, which I will not reveal, is something that was extremely difficult for me to write because I never imagined Dushyant to be that kind of a person. What he does in the later part of the book, uh, and I had to justify it. I had to make it seem like, make it real for the reader that he had no other choice. And his dream was so important to him that, that was the only path open to him. So I think, yes, Dushyant was very, very difficult to write.
So, since you ended that question with the second part of the book, so I think where it is coming from. So, the novel is also exploring uh, trust and betrayal. So, why was it important for trust and betrayal as a theme to be there in the story? Where, because the story is more about rehabilitation and not about trust or betrayal, but how important it was for you to bring those themes as well into the book.
Extremely important because there are two very, very strong sides to this argument. The argument that I'm making in this book, whether to give redemption to convicted criminals or whether to just keep them away, locked up in prisons, and never let them allow into our society or reintegrate into our society. These both of them are valid, and both of them have their very, very important principles behind these arguments. So I did not want to write the book with an agenda. I wanted to write the book so that both of these arguments had a place in the book. And the reader felt that, okay, justice has been done to both sides of the argument. And the decision whether to give redemption to the criminals or not is now up to the reader. I have just opened the conversation up because nobody is talking about it. I have given them something to talk about. And now that they have both sides of the argument, pros and cons of both sides, now they can talk about it. And now they can decide for themselves what are their own biases about it. What is it that is holding them back? And what do they think about this argument? So trust and betrayal was very, very important because it's very, very difficult, right, to trust people who have committed crimes. Very difficult. Well, normally, in our normal everyday life, if people do something bad to us, not a
Right.
crime, but
Yes.
do something bad to us, it's very difficult to trust them again and to forgive them. So that aspect had to come because we're talking about people who have committed crimes. We're talking about people who have gone beyond the norms of our society. So that aspect had to come because the reader has to be able to understand that that is human nature. You don't need to be a criminal, to have that inside you that you trust someone and at the same time you are a trustworthy individual, but you also have betrayed somebody at some point in your life. You have.
True. Yes, it was actually important to show that side. And also, I love the fact that you have left it to the readers to make the choice. I mean, that's very, I think that is something which an intelligent author will do, a scientist author will do for that matter, is what I mean. Yeah. So, we talked about the research part already. So, I would like to ask you that were there any uh, real life individuals or cases from which you took inspiration for writing this book?
As far as the incidents in this book go, all of them are fictional. There are no people or there are no situations in this book that are anything to do with real people or real crimes or real cases. They may have similarities, of course, because the crimes that I talk about are very, very common, unfortunately. But yes, all of them are fictional. The one case that actually inspired me, I would say, is because I read through a lot of court transcripts to do research for this book. And the one case that inspired me was a case in Kerala High Court about, again, this organ donation thing from one person wanted an organ from a person behind bars who was his driver. So he applied for that thing, and the committee for organ transplantation rejected the application, saying that this person is a criminal, he's punished, and he cannot donate organs. So that case went to Kerala High Court, and the judge over there rejected the committee's decision, and he said that, how can we deny this application for organ donation? There is no such thing as a criminal kidney or a criminal liver or a criminal heart,
Heart.
right? There is no such thing like that. So we cannot deny this application. And that was the case that kind of inspired me to just go on and write this book, because there were a lot of moments where I was in doubt about my book and my characters. But yes, I took inspiration from that case, but everything else is fictional. Yeah.
Right. Great. I mean, I think we I mean, as far as the justice system or the legal system is concerned, I think we are having some really good judges in place, who are, accepting, something which is out of the blue, and I mean, passing judgments which are like really unexpected off. So I think one of the judges, Chandrachud Singh, just retired. He was a phenomenal person, I believe, and I think a lot of uh, judgments he had passed is, I think, the society or the system itself will, I think, uh, will honor that. I believe. So the legal system plays a significant role in your book, and how do you think the justice system is in India impacts the possibility of rehabilitation for convicts?
It impacts it in a very, very big way, I would say, because the so basically what happens is that every state is responsible for the running of its prisons. Central government and the Supreme Court of India will give guidance to the state governments, but the running and administration of the prisons is in the hands of the state government. So, so I think if we make better policies, even at the central level, if the central government is directing the state governments to make better policies and better prison reforms and everything, so it will have a very, very huge impact, because otherwise it's just free for all, right? Because right now, like we were discussing, right, American prisons, they have this problem of occupancy. They don't have that many prisons or capacity to hold these prisoners. हमारे इंडिया में क्या हो रहा है, our prisons are over occupied. They are over occupied to the extent of 150%.
Yeah, that
So
is what
if
you
if
said,
a prison,
70%. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, so if it's the capacity is what, 100 people, we are pushing 300 people in that establishment, right? And to no avail, they're just sitting there and doing nothing. They're wasting away their life. So I think better prison reforms, better policies at the central level, at the jurisdiction level, अपना state level पे भी, it will have a huge impact on how we run our prisons and how we run our open prisons and how we are controlling the cycle of crime and punishment. Definitely.
Okay. Since you have talked about a lot of reforms to be made on the policy, if given a chance, how would you pitch the concept of Bandi Mukti Morcha to policymakers in India?
The good thing is that I don't really have to pitch it. It's already there.
Pitch,
What
yeah.
we have to, yeah, it's already there. We already have open prisons. We already have the system. The problem is that we don't have enough resources to give to these systems so that they can benefit the criminals or the people who are going to be released into our society. That's the problem. Enough resources are not being given to these establishments. We have around 90 open prisons in our country. Maharashtra is second in line, second or third in line in the number of open prisons. Okay, we have 19 in Maharashtra,
Wow, that's a
and
good
most
number.
of them, it's a good number. It's a very good number, but most of them are lying underutilized, understaffed. They don't have enough money to run these systems. There, if the prison establishment, the open prison establishment, can occupy 3,000 people, there are only 500 to 1,000 people in there because no other prisoners are being sent. So I think that is what needs to be done. Like give more resources to these systems. आपने बना दिए हैं, लेकिन आप कुछ कर नहीं रहे हैं
Implement nahi
कहाँ?
ho rahe. Right.
Exactly. So if we give them more resources, then I think we're looking at a better future for everybody, not only for the criminals, for us also, because they are going to come into our society and they
True.
are going to commit crimes on innocent people. So I think resources is the problem.
Hmm. Right. I think a lot of serious questions. So I would like to have one fun question for you here.
Yeah.
So, if pronounced guilty were to be adapted into a film or series, um, who would you cast as Dushyant Dave, Vijendra Singh, and Dr. Anusuya Sawant?
All right. Okay. Dushyant Dave, I think for some reason, ever since Jolly LLB, I have this soft spot for either Arshad Varsi or Akshay Kumar. Okay. So either of them for Dushyant Dave, definitely. He's also a lawyer. And I think I somehow fashioned him after Arshad Varsi and Akshay Kumar. So yes, that. Vijender Singh, I think Vikrant Massey would be like a great fit for Vijender Singh. He's got that energy, right? वो ऐसा एकदम raw energy है उसके
Correct,
अंदर.
correct. True.
He'll be amazing. And Anusuya, I think either Taboo. I really loved the way she portrayed the inspector in Drishyam, right?
Yeah.
Drishyam में उसका कैसा role था? I think Taboo for Anusuya. Yeah.
Great. Great. I hope, fingers crossed, and I pray that, it is soon a film or a series. Yeah, yeah. All right. So, we are going to do a rapid fire with you now after this
Yes.
question. So, the time starts. I mean, there is no timer as such, but the rapid fire question starts now. So, if you were stuck in open prison, what one book would you want with you?
Oh my God. Okay. I'll say my favorite book, Harry Potter. I would want Harry Potter.
Okay, so who's your favorite fictional lawyer or advocate?
Dushyant. I don't have time to think of anybody else.
Okay. Redemption or revenge? What makes a better story?
What makes a better story? If you talk about film adaptations, I would say Revenge. And if you talk about books, I would say Redemption.
Coffee, tea, or courtroom drama?
Coffee. Oh God, very hard choice. Coffee, please.
All right. And what's the weirdest fact you discovered while researching for pronounced guilty?
Okay, the thing that comes to my mind, top of my mind, is this one line that I came across in the Model Prison Manual of India, which turned the story for me. Is that a person behind bars does not become a non-person. So that's something that I had never thought of. I have never thought of people behind bars as people. So when I read that for the first time, it was like a shattering of all of my, convictions. Like, yes, they are also people. They are also people. They
Mm.
might be bad people, terrible people, but they are people. I think that's all.
Right. So if you were to give your book a new title based on a song, what would it be?
Based on a song, oh my God, where are you coming up with these questions?
That
I
is
don't
why
know
it is
any
fun.
song. Now I can't think of any songs at all.
Okay, I think that was a difficult one. Okay, so I'll bring up a simple one. What's your go-to guilty pleasure snack while reading? Or okay, not reading while writing.
Okay, pleasure snack would be coffee, definitely coffee, and something to munch on, like a toast, bread butter toast, something like that. Yeah.
All right. And if you could live the life of one of your characters for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh, okay. I would want to live for a day. I would want to be Anusuya. Uh, why? Because I think I aspire to be her when I am her age. Like she's nearing 60 in the novel. So when I am 60, I want to be like Anusuya, internally and externally at peace with herself, at peace with the world. And even though she is in pain, even though she is grieving, even though she has so many other challenges, in front of her, she knows who she is. That's who I want to be.
Okay, and I think I'll go with Dushyant. I would want to be Dushyant, that lawyer.
Ah.
I always wanted to be a lawyer. I always wanted to be, and my mom used to tell me, you should be a lawyer. इतना argue करती है ना हर बात पे. तुझे तो lawyer ही बनना चाहिए. But I didn't become one. Right. But I think for a day बन सकते हैं. जैसे for a day chief
Yes.
minister, for a day
Chief
lawyer.
Minister, exactly, exactly. I was going to say this.
Right, great. I think that was a lovely conversation we had today, Monica, and I would like you to show that book of yours to the readers. Yeah, just hold it in front of your uh, yeah, because I think because of the background, it's just, yes, now we can see it. Yes, that's pronounced guilty from Monica Singh. By Monica Singh, please do buy it. It's available on Amazon. It's available on some selected bookstores, is what I believe. And if you can tell the name of the bookstores, it will be great. And people can go and buy, read, review. I am surely going to do that review once I read it.
Yes.
Of course, uh, reading is
Yes,
a,
please do buy it. And
yeah,
don't worry about going to a bookstore. It's available on Amazon. It's in paperback. It's in Kindle.
still
Don't bother to go out. That'll be too much work. Just put in the title of the
right,
book on Amazon and you will get it. And do
right.
review it once you've read it. I love to hear what you think of the concept and of the character.
Sure, sure. It will be a great honor. Thank you so much, Monica, for joining us here at Between the Pages with Divya, brought to you straight by Audio Pitara. Lovely having you here. Lovely to talk about the book. So much of, you are a pitara of knowledge, is what I believe. The amount of research which you have done through the book is commendable, is what I say. Got to learn a lot from you, and I hope, uh, you know, even I have that time and energy to research something just out of the box and just put it down into a paper. Though I am a lazy bum right now, just having a novella with me, but I think I'll soon graduate to a full time
Yes,
novel
yes,
writing.
yes, you will. Yes, you will. Definitely. I have seen your work and you have that spark. You will, definitely.
Right.
And it
Thank
has
you.
been pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for calling me here. It has
Great.
been a
It was
pleasure.
great having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.